Lately I've been really into this semi-forgotten little band called Suburban Lawns. They only ever released one full album back in 1981, plus a couple singles and an EP, which was supposedly meant to be their second album, but wound up forever unfinished. I've always been a fan of what could simply be called weird music, and Suburban Lawns definitely fits into that category. I would describe their sound as having a dash of Talking Heads, a splash of Devo, and maybe a tiny little pinch of Velvet Underground, just in like little moments, and a heaping helping of unadulterated originality. Despite their small output and their relative obscurity today, Suburban Lawns does hold a particular place in music history. Their genre has been described by various outlets as punk, post-punk, pop, alternative indie, and even surf rock, even though it's really just like one song that has a little surf rock flair to it. But most importantly, they were an early voice in the new wave genre, the bleeding edge music style, which was essentially spearheaded by Talking Heads. Suburban Lawns consists of Frankie Ennui, Chuck Roast, John Glur, Vex Billingsgate, and Sue Tissue, with Billingsgate and Tissue sharing vocal duties. I like both singers, and Vex Billingsgate really does shine on certain tracks, but a big part of why I've been so hooked on Suburban Lawns lately, and why I've been listening to their one album over and over again on repeat for weeks now, is the unique and unorthodox vocal style of Sue Tissue. It helps to see her stage presence while singing. There aren't many decent quality video recordings of the band playing live. Same goes for their music videos, but you can see Sue's strange demeanor in this live performance of their song Janitor. In this recording, you can see that Sue's face remains completely deadpan and expressionless, even as her voice contorts and shifts wildly while delivering the strange lyrics. Whether this dissonance between face and voice was the unintended result of nerves on stage or a naturally deadpan personality, or whether it was an intentional choice to draw a line between voice and body in the off-kilter spirit of new wave, I have no idea which it is, but the end result is something I find magnetic regardless. Her bandmate Frankie Ennui was quoted calling her stage presence mind-blowing, but people at the time largely just found her stage presence off-putting. If you dig up reviews from the time, you'll find that a lot of critics took issue with Tissue's stage presence, saying she looked, quote, bored and uncomfortable on stage. And yeah, maybe she was bored and uncomfortable on stage, or maybe it's an act, an artistic statement. Either way, I love it. It's unique and attention-grabbing for sure. And honestly, a lot of the things that critics were writing about her are just kind of straight up mean, and they come off as at least a little misogynistic, like calling her, quote, that strange, unfashionably dressed girl. A particularly harsh LA Weekly review even said, quote, in other less tolerant societies, she would be dismissed as a wacko or burned at the stake as a witch. It's like, don't you think that's a little extreme to say about someone just because she isn't dressed the way you want her to be or expressing the way that you want her to? It's a little much. Like, reel it back a little bit. How about the website Punk Girl Diaries called those critics out for this too, writing, quote, the music press were used to judging women in bands on their attractiveness, sexiness, and beauty of their voices, which now looks embarrassing. Oh, hello, Slash Magazine, end quote. And if you're wondering, that Slash Magazine review from 1979 had gross little nuggets in it like, quote, this chickie isn't no wallpaper. And I don't even know if she's got a great voice or if she's sexy or anything. Jesus. And keep in mind, that's supposed to be a positive review. So just imagine the bad ones. It makes me wonder if the whole point of Sue's unusual stage presence was to draw out this kind of gross reaction from people, to make a point. In the few interviews she gave, it's clear that Sue Tissue saw the band as an art project first, ahead of being a music group, so it's certainly possible. The extent to which I loved Suburban Lawns' output, paired with how brief their run was, had me looking into the band members, hoping to find out that they maybe rebranded and kept making music under a different name, or that they each just went their own separate ways and formed different musical groups and there would be more for me to listen to. I was especially interested in seeing what else Sue Tissue got up to. But what I found was not what I expected and not what I was hoping for. It's easy enough to follow up with most of the band members, and they did mostly go on to form or become a part of other musical projects over the years, but not Sue Tissue. At a certain point, Sue Tissue drops off the face of the earth. So Where did she go? Why did she disappear? What happened to Sue Tissue? Let's look at the facts and cover all the information that's out there. Sue Tissue did not disappear right when Suburban Lawns broke up. That came later on. After the band disintegrated, she went to Berkeley, kind of doing the whole band and musical education thing in reverse order. And then she released a solo album called Salon de Musique in 1984. This was her only solo album, and it bears absolutely no resemblance to her work in Suburban Lawns. It's a piano-centric album, and only the final track features any vocals at all. And it's an achingly beautiful piece of work. It really shows her musical range when you compare these two albums, the Suburban Lawns album versus Salon de Musique. They could not be any more different. But that is where Sue Tissue's musical output comes to an abrupt end. The only other public appearance from her in any capacity was in the 1986 movie Something Wild from director Jonathan Demme, who also directed the music video for Suburban Lawns' first single, Gidget Goes to Hell. And by the way, he's also the guy who directed the single best concert movie ever made, Stop Making Sense, which is the Talking Heads movie, so more in the new wave space again. Again, this was Sue Tissue's only film performance. She really was a one-and-done kind of person. This is where Sue Tissue just drops off the map entirely. Even her bandmates have said that they have never heard from her and have no idea what happened to her or where she is. No more appearances, no more music, no more existence in the public eye. So what else do we know? And what has been found and speculated about over the years. First, as you might guess, Sue Tissue is not her real name. Her actual name was Sue McLean, but it's believed that she has since changed her first and last name to something else altogether. Not another stage name, but rather a normal name that she can use to live a casual life without any connection to her musical past. There are multiple social media pages dedicated to Sue Tissue, including one somewhat notorious Facebook page in which one slightly obsessed fan was determined to investigate her disappearance as if it were a true crime case and get to the bottom of where she ended up and what happened to her. That page has since been deleted, but you can find articles talking about that Facebook page, including a piece in Underground and a great article in Outline. The guy who ran that Facebook page claimed that he did eventually find her, but he ended up deciding to respect her request for anonymity and not release any details. If you look elsewhere online, you can find all kinds of hypotheses and claims, but most of them seem to be pulled out of thin air, and plenty of them contradict with other ones. Some of the most popular theories suggest that she became a teacher, either of piano or of some other school subject, or that she became a lawyer of some sort. Most people seem to think she's either in California or Boston, so opposite sides of the country. I don't know how you square that circle. To be clear, I haven't found any of these claims particularly compelling. If you look into them, without fail, these rumors started as a random person confidently throwing out the information in some comment section or forum post without providing any kind of evidence. You know, they might claim to have gone to school with her or know her personally, but you know, it's online. People are going to say whatever they're going to say. So it seems like this is a mystery that will never be 100% solved for the general public, maybe for individuals, but not writ large. I'm sure an investigative journalist could track her down if they really wanted to. That one Facebook guy claims that he and a couple of others have successfully tracked her down. But it's pretty clear that Sue Tissue's disappearance wasn't an accident. It wasn't like some crime or some tragedy. It was purposeful. She doesn't want to be found. She doesn't want to be bothered. And that's something that should be respected. So let's just enjoy the couple of albums we got out of her and leave her to her own devices. Thanks for watching. Check out some of my other videos and subscribe if you enjoyed stuff like this or not, whatever. I don't really give a shit, honestly, but you know, thanks for watching this far. So long.